Dozens of wrestlers have lost their job, over 100 in the office, all fired, just to make room for Jade Cargill. Let's talk about it on Wrestling with the Business.
Whoa! How did that belt get to the table? That was incredible. Matt, you're a magician. Hey, gang, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Wrestling with the Business. I am your host this week, the varsity athlete, Jeremy Bodette. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, Matthew, the Professor Lambert, giving it to you. Hey, big thanks to our GM, Dan, for holding down the fort last week.
Yeah, he did good.
You were celebrating your birthday, another year young. How's it feel?
Old.
Are you 52, 53 now?
We'll say over 30.
With 30 on hold? Is that what we're going to go with? So Matt had a birthday. I was busy with some personal stuff, but Dan held down the fort. Thank you very much, Dan. Keeping it live. So what do we got this week? Man, a lot's been happening. The world is traveling at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's all I can do to keep up. So we got TV deals flying off the shelves, right? Fox gets dropped. SmackDown's going someplace new for an incredible amount of money. We're going to talk about that. AEW gets a deal through Warner Brothers Discovery, through Max, formerly HBO. Looking like pay-per-views are going to become more of an occurrence. We got some changes coming in the title realm for WWE. Some new signs, some new releases. Like you mentioned, Jade Cargill, maybe Edge going to AEW. There's a million things we're going to talk about, not to mention Wrestledream is now on the horizon. We're going to mention that. What was the big takeaway from this week? What do we want to start with? What was the biggest piece of news for this week for you?
For me, I don't know. I don't know for me personally, but probably the biggest news, the one that I've seen every day this week, is the Jade Cargill signing.
That has been teased for so long, it felt like not news to me.
Really?
I had been seeing reports. I mean, obviously we knew that she was going to get released.
I've seen updates on that every day for the past week.
Big star like Jade Cargill. I mean, we know where she isn't going. She's not going to OVW, right? I mean, if you're WWE, you've got cash, you've got a women's division in desperate need of help. I mean, so desperate that they've made some, I think, questionable personnel choices. I think maybe you have some opinions about that.
Yeah, no
which
kidding.
is potentially causing some injury issues, which is the last thing that they need inside their organization right now. I mean, bringing in a strong woman that could maybe make a championship run right out of the gate. I mean, that's got to be gold for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had heard rumors that she was, even before her contract was up, she was, spending time down at the Performance Center in Orlando, and she was kind of poking around. I mean, there was talk. I mean, we knew where she was going, so no big surprise there. But I think the real question, what I was seeing was, does she need any time in development? I mean, is she ready for prime time? Is she the kind of person that you can just stick in front of the camera week one?
I would say no. I think she still needs some seasoning, but the amount that WWE has put behind her this past week, I mean, they've done so many announcements and telling her backstory and everything else. I'd be surprised if she goes to NXT. This seems like a total. They're treating her like she's the next Ronda Rousey, basically.
What are they going to do with her that AEW didn't do? I mean, what can they do with the talent like Jade Cargill? Yeah, that's it. It's the same thing I'm thinking. I'm like, what? I mean, are we going to get the same thing? I mean, I don't know.
She's the second coming of Charlotte Flair, basically.
It's kind of how it feels, right?
Yeah.
Kind of feels like Charlotte Flair's foil, maybe, or something. Kind of even have that same look going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem like a big piece of news.
It definitely seems like they're putting everything behind her, though.
They need to, because again, I mean, what's going on with was the Rhea Ripley injury at work?
That wasn't an injury. That was
near close call or something.
So yeah, you mentioned it. They brought back Nia Jax.
Yep.
And the past few weeks, there has been some backstage chatter, I guess, if you want to call it that. Some speculation. She may have injured Chelsea Green, which
she gets injured when you look at her cross-eyed now.
You look at her tweets and everything, and you could kind of see it seems like a bit of work. She might be talking in character when she's trashing Nia. But Stevie Richards has a YouTube show, and he brought up the bonsai drop that Nia did to Rhea Ripley and how she did it in an unsafe manner, how she could have done it better. So that, I don't think it actually caused an injury, but it could potentially. It's just, there's always been talk about her not being safe in the ring. She has hurt other people in the past.
They're doing Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. That's Rhea Ripley territory.
Yep.
In February, I mean, I would be handling her with the kid gloves between now and then.
Yeah.
I got to imagine she's going to be the main event. The women's Elimination Chamber probably is going to be the main event at that particular.
Her and Grayson Waller.
Yeah, that's right, Grace. This is that big Grayson Waller push we've all been waiting for. Now that he's finally wrestled a match after being in the company for a year. Yeah, I mean, I think the women's division in WWE is so lacking between the injuries, between Alexa Bliss being out to have a baby, between
Carmella out with a baby.
I mean, there's so much that is. I mean, you look at the roster and you're like, wow, what a great roster. And you're like, oh, out. And you're like, wow, who can challenge for a belt at this point?
Even Becky Lynch said that this week in an interview, how they have a stacked roster, but they aren't building the women up to be contenders. So as an NXT champion, she has been pushing to work with different people. Was it last week? She wanted to work with Tegan Nox, but she had a match with Natalya instead. She specifically...
What happened to Indy Hartwell? They brought up the NXT champion, and they've done nothing with her.
Becky specifically mentioned Tegan, Candice LeRae, and one other person I can't think of right now, who she said could potentially be, championship top material, and they're not being pushed in that way.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, they don't get as much airtime.
That's what she was saying. Yeah.
As they probably need, they probably deserve. I mean, you figure the Ross is probably 35% women, over 30% women, I would think. Mm-hmm. But they're not getting 30. They're not getting a third of the airtime.
No.
Story or otherwise, you get the same 3 or 4 women that are getting all the work. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could be a wake-up call as long as Jade Cargill isn't elbowing somebody else out that deserves it. As long as they don't say, no, Alexa Bliss, you don't need to come back in 6 months when you're ready to come back or whatever,
Yeah, I don't see her being any different. She'll be a cross between Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair. I don't see what else they can do with her.
I have to imagine they put some big money behind her, though, with them pushing her this hard and with AEW kind of letting her go. I mean, I'm sure they fought pretty hard for her, but with them it must have been a very pretty penny to incentivize her to jump ship like that. Well, let's start Let's start from the top. So, AEW pay-per-views, some kind of a deal. I don't know what you'd call it. A streaming deal, maybe? You wouldn't call it a TV deal.
Yeah, it's a streaming deal. They look to be airing their stuff on Max, and from what I can see, it's only going to be TV at this point. I don't think pay-per-views, past pay-per-views will be on there, but I don't think they're going to be doing live pay-per-views on Max.
But
not yet.
But I know Warner Brothers Discovery and Max has been kind of moving in that live streaming direction. So this is going to be live shows on Max Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night.
Right.
It's going to be the normal TBS TNT lineup. But it's going to be, I wonder if it's going to be like the Max title. Are they going to switch the TNT and to the Max?
No, they'll just make another belt.
The HBO. They can't leave that out there. You know how bad that would be having the TNT belt appear.
Oh no, okay. So I'm looking at the article right now. This is coming from Wrestling Headlines, and led to a lot of speculation. Blah blah blah. This would be AEW's new home for pay-per-view events and archived content. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
So the library's going in there, and the pay-per-views, if you got Max, you're not going to have to pay for anymore.
And a new TV deal is coming as well.
Which is going to save us a buttload of money.
Especially if they're going to 12 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah, it's going to save us at least $600.
Yep.
Over the course of the year. But you know what? I was thinking about it. They got all these back-to-back pay-per-views. I mean, they're not going to have to really add any. They're basically at 12 now.
Yeah, they have the TV specials like Grand Slam and Winter's Coming.
You got All In and All Out, 2 pay-per-views 1 week apart.
That's new. That's the first week they've done that.
But that's what I'm saying. They're already there prior to signing the deal. They're already
they had 4 pay-per-views. All In makes 5, and now Wrestledream this week. That'll be their 6th pay-per-view.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do. I wonder how they're going to go. They really don't have to go head-to-head if they stick to Sunday nights.
I mean, they won't go head-to-head unless, until WrestleMania does their 2-night again.
Yeah, right.
What I'm wondering, though, what they need to do, what I would like to see in the new, I mean, their pay-per-views are always stacked. Like, 14 matches on one pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They need to keep that 3-month, 4-month thinking with their booking, and then just have certain matches on each pay-per-view.
Let everybody breathe.
Yes.
Give everybody a chance to breathe.
Still have a 3-month build to a match. You don't have the same people on every show.
I think I talked about this months ago with you. That's what I'm saying. When you have a roster that's that big, you need to give people time to breathe.
Right.
Letting the belt move is not a bad thing. People don't need to hold on to the belt for 3 years and 5 years anymore. These aren't the territory days. You don't need to show your big superstar off all the time. You can give people, I mean, you don't want to be passing it around like it's candy or anything, like it's a 24/7 championship or anything like that, but you want it to maintain its weight. But you can't be afraid to let somebody take a month or two off so that they can rest, recover,
right,
rejuvenate, and be ready to hit the ground running again, when it's their turn in 2 or 3 months to make another run, or maybe go after another championship, or maybe have a really good feud with somebody. You have to be willing to cycle around, which is something WWE has not done a very good job of, and they're really going to need to do it. So we'll see what happens. I have to imagine it's worth a pretty penny. I mean, if they're expanding to 12, especially given how well All In went,
right,
pay-per-view buy and attendance-wise, I mean, you're talking, and they're going back to Wembley, obviously, next year. I have to imagine they're definitely on the upswing, and even though the ratings maybe aren't as solid as they'd like them to be for Collision,
they're still in a range that Warner Brothers likes, though.
They can justify themselves, and it'll be interesting to see if pay-per-view viewership goes up, because that leads to other indirect benefits, merch sales, ticket sales, things like that. It might be a way to kind of reach a broader audience. Dan's not here to argue with me, but I think you do reach a broader audience when you're on Max versus TNT.
Well, yeah, certainly more people are going to watch Max than they are going to buy an actual pay-per-view.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that brings my next question, though. Will they lose money on that since they won't be making the money from the pay-per-view buys?
Well, my guess is, without seeing the details, if I'm Tony Khan, the argument I'm trying to go from this to this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really increasing, probably over the course of a year or 2 or 5 years, I'm probably not really increasing my revenue, but I'm leveling everything off. I'm creating financial surety.
Right.
And I have a reliable income that, hey, listen, if we have a dud, it's okay. If for whatever reason only 50,000 people buy or something like that, I'm not totally screwed. And now I've got cash flow issues, and I'm answering all these questions financial related questions that I really don't want to be answering because I'm trying to invest in creative, which is where my time should really be spent. I'm not sort of pulled away from that aspect of the business. So if I'm Tony Khan, that's just a way to kind of calm the waters. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, when you start now in a couple of years, you start hitting home runs week after week after week, and you find viewership numbers are 200,000, 500,000, 600,000. Now you have an opportunity to renegotiate. But all he's really trying to do, I think, is financially settle the waters for the next couple of years. That's a real problem, especially when you get to be in a position where you're cash strapped. If you don't have that guaranteed money coming in, man, it's a really stressful place to be.
Right.
Some changes with WWE, and I can't say I'm surprised, but I am a little disappointed. It's looking like maybe they want to add a trios, which makes it a little crowded. But even worse than that, weight classes. WWE has had no success with weight classes.
No.
They tried the cruiserweight division.
Before that, they had the light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight.
Yep.
It just isn't a good fit.
They don't care enough about their tag titles. They certainly don't care about the women's tag titles. They're not, they hardly care about the US and IC titles.
Presumably you wouldn't add an additional, well, I don't know how you would do it. How would you do it? Would you just do away with all the titles and say, okay, you're the featherweight champion, the way they do it in UFC? There's no, you know what I'm saying?
No, they wouldn't do that, because people recognize the U.S. and the IC and all the other titles. They recognize those titles far more than, it's not the same thing, but it's kind of comparable. Like bringing in the 24/7 championship was supposed to be reminiscent of like the hardcore championship, because it could be defended anywhere, anytime, kind of thing, And introducing a weight class without, getting rid of something to bring in like a featherweight or whatever, just nobody's gonna buy that. All they're gonna think about is, why did you get rid of that belt? I liked that belt, or whatever.
Let me steel man this argument here, though. If I'm in the position of WWE and I have corporate OCD like Dan seems to think they do, and I want everything to match up with UFC, obviously we're gonna have to make some choices here, and I don't think the UFC is gonna be adding a US championship anytime soon. But beyond that, one thing that's kind of cool in the world of other combat sports that you don't see in sports entertainment or professional wrestling is you can kind of hype any title to be the big title, depending on who's on the card.
Right.
In boxing, when Muhammad Ali was on the card, the World Heavyweight Championship, the biggest, the baddest, right? But lately, Conor McGregor gets in the ring, and now all of a sudden we care about the little guys and how the little guys can fight. That's a unique piece of creative flexibility, not just from a creative development standpoint, but from a marketing standpoint as well. I mean, everybody knows that Roman Reigns is the biggest and the baddest guy on the block. Mm-hmm. It kind of sucks a lot of the air out of the room when you're trying to put hype behind a U.S. championship or something like that.
Or a world heavyweight.
This type of situation gives you the ability and the flexibility to be like, okay, for the next 6 months, we're going to push the light heavyweight, bantamweight, featherweight even championship, and I'll bet dollars to donuts that you're not going to see weight classes introduced in the women's division. Listen, Vince McMahon is not known for being smart with women, but I don't know too many people that are this stupid. Tell me, Charlotte, step on the scale. What division will you be competing in? Yes, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. So, but it is an interesting thing, and I got to tell you, if I'm in creative, I'm not totally upset at that. I mean, having the flexibility to push a particular title. I mean, let's be honest, you and I have argued this over and over again. Why are the small guys getting no respect just because they're small? Right. They're still providing a great product, very entertaining and interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it never made any sense to me. In the old days, they did have a cruiserweight. They had the U.S., the Intercontinental, North American, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But, as it is, though, they have too many championships that they don't pay enough attention to. So if they introduce new ones...
If they do it, it'll be something selective.
Right.
They'll do a featherweight or a bantamweight or something like that. It'll be like a one-off, two-off thing. And it'll probably end up failing because they didn't throw themselves into it. Mm-hmm. We already talked about Jade Cargill. We will put that one to bed. Now, I'm glad that this came up because Dan and I had it out over Edge.
Yep.
And it's looking like Edge is going to sign with AEW.
Yeah, it does.
And that is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think you agree with me that this is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else he can do in WWE. He is wrapping up his career, but for him to go to AEW, which is still a new company, for him to impart some wisdom, some tips or whatever for the young guys over there, and just to have some dream matches that we never thought we'd get to see, that'd be great.
Jade Cargill release is kind of opening up some money.
Yeah, it is. And, if he wraps up his career with one last run with his old tag team partner Christian, then what the hell, why not?
I have to imagine, I can't imagine a world, because he was expressing all of his videos on X were pretty open, and he was very, pleasant and thankful and just really classy, honestly, I think is the only way to put it in most of the videos. I have to imagine, though, if there was any nervousness or there was any trepidation or hesitation on his part on going to AEW, Christian must have called him.
Yeah.
And said, look at what I'm doing here. This is awesome. You come out, look at Sting. Sting's
new
out
TNT
here.
Champion, Christian, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I believe
won it on Collision.
The only man to hold a championship in all four, right? ECW,
all four big companies, yep.
Impact,
TNA.
yeah. Yeah, I think Samoa Joe's all but
ECW.
ECW, yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, I mean, I have to imagine that, I mean, they have to get together. I mean, you put them in the same company, and they have to have a match. It's just a crazy.
If not a tag run, a feud.
Yeah.
Something.
I think that's going to get the kind of response at AEW that Dan was talking about a CM Punk getting at WWE would. It's going to pop really quick. You know, and he's not going to be wrestling every week either, so it'll be something they're going to use scantily, but a huge asset to the business.
Agreed.
Tell me about this Rick Knox situation with Moxley.
So,
A botched spot.
last week at Grand Slam, Moxley was defending his international championship against Phoenix. And apparently, even before the match started, they had a pre-match brawl before the bell rang. And apparently he got concussed at that point, sometime before the match. Moxley did, sorry, yeah. Pronouns, pal. And when I'm watching the match, I could see he was not moving great, but I didn't really think about it until the end of the match. The end of the match comes, Phoenix is pinning Moxley, and Moxley doesn't kick out, but Rick Knox doesn't count the 3. So Phoenix hit his finisher, which is that greetings from Asbury Park from our FCA episode last week.
Check it out.
Sit out pile driver. Counts 1, 2. Knox stops counting, but Moxley didn't kick out, so Phoenix picks him up again. You could see Moxley saying something to the ref, like, you know, let him pin me or whatever. Picks him up, does another pile driver, and then gets the 3 count. And we have a new international champion. So, yeah, Moxley legitimately hurt, but Knox obviously kind of screwed the pooch in the end there.
You mean by breaking kayfabe, basically?
Right. Not counting the 3, even though Moxley was flat on his back.
I want to know what Tony Khan was saying in his ear when that
the
was
reason
happening.
I mean, that's bad enough, but this isn't the first time he's had those issues. He's had other matches where that kind of thing has happened. So, yeah, there's a little backstage heat on Rick Knox right now, which, you know, kind of sucks. I think he's their senior ref.
I wonder what that looks like. Does it just look like a bunch of guys complaining that they drew Knox for their match or something like that? Because I know how it is with Aubrey. She does all of Jericho's matches, right? So you kind of have your favorites. You know, it becomes almost like a pitcher-catcher thing where pitchers will request to have a particular catcher catch for them in baseball. But I wonder how that is. Does everyone just complain, or is he getting a lot of lectures from the other talent about, you know, doing this or doing that? I mean, Tony Khan must have been in his ear doing something. That's a very rookie mistake. I have to imagine that Khan was telling him not to count or was saying something to him and he didn't know what was going on.
And
I mean,
again, Moxley got concussed basically before the match, but he still wrestled a full 10, 12-minute match, however long it was. And like I said, I noticed something in the beginning, didn't really think about it, and then when I saw the end, I'm like, oh crap, he's hurt. He probably shouldn't be wrestling.
it's a tough situation to be in, you know, in football.
And he took 2 pile drivers.
In football, basketball, I mean, almost any sport, I know I would not, I mean, he hurt his head and you're going to give him a pile driver? You know, in almost any other sport, a guy gets his bell rung like that, he walks off the field and a doctor checks him out.
Mm-hmm.
In professional wrestling, that's not a thing. I mean, if a guy gets his bell rung, you know,
well, the old school thinking is you just keep going. Now more wrestlers they're more aware of that stuff, and they do stop and at least get checked out.
Half personality and half the company. I mean, I think you have to have the culture of safety around you. I mean, a guy like Moxley, he's going to do whatever he's going to do, regardless of what the culture is. There's not everybody you can do that with. Anybody that's like, I want to be the first to bleed. Yeah, okay, that's a guy that really doesn't care about his health and safety. But you got to have the culture around it, too. So that's weird.
I'm realizing as I'm looking at this list, I didn't really organize it very well. We're going back and forth between...
That's fine. We can mix it up.
Between all the companies.
We don't have as many as we normally do, so that's why I'm digging in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So lots of WWE releases.
Dan mentioned those last week.
None of them really surprising. However, it would appear that things with Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, are really advancing with AEW. We could see him at AEW with his brother.
Yeah, I expected that.
That would be pretty cool to see him there with Edge. I know that Dan mentioned Matt Riddle, and I was texting offline. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, with Riddle's relationship with UFC, him getting kicked out for drug use and stuff, there's no way. Like, I was kicking myself for not predicting this when I heard about the rumor from the beginning. There's no freaking way they're going to keep him around. There's all the times he had it out with Dana White in the past, there's no way that that's going to get greenlit.
Yeah.
Does he go to AEW? Or does he go the burnout route and start working the Impact circuit, Indie circuit?
I could see him going either way. I mean, when he was in the Indies, he really made his name in the UK. I could see him going back that way, but if he wants to stay with his family, yeah, I could probably see him going in AEW if they want him.
There's some big promotions. I'll bet you they'd get him at a discounted rate, too.
Yeah. But you said there were no surprises. The one that really did surprise me was Mustafa Ali. Because, I mean, all these other people that got released, they had either been now injured or they weren't really being used on TV. Mustafa Ali was in the middle of a storyline with Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, yeah.
And he was facing him for the North American title this Saturday at No Mercy. So to let him go mid-storyline like that...
That just goes to show a hell of a respect they have for him or the product.
Yeah, certainly the product. They're not even watching their own thing.
I mean, they are. They just don't care. I mean, you got to admit, whoever... I don't know who Shawn Michaels is running creative down there.
Yeah, he's running it.
Shawn Michaels has got to be tearing his hair out right now, being like, what the F are you doing to me? Like, I just wrote... You couldn't have waited a week to release the guy? You couldn't pay the guy a week? Like, doesn't make any sense. Let him lose and wave his hand and go off.
Yeah, that made no sense to me at all.
That's why we call it wrestling with the business, because the business has an impact on it for sure.
Yeah.
Tony Khan might buy NJPW? No way.
So there was some speculation and rumors on this because this weekend we mentioned it is Wrestledream, the new pay-per-view.
Yep.
This pay-per-view is is honoring and in the memory of Antonio Inoki, who started All Japan, New Japan, All Japan. Sorry. And because of their working relationship. And at some point in an interview recently, Tony Khan is saying Wrestledream is the start of a new era for AEW. So there was a lot of speculation going out that he was purchasing New Japan, which he did shoot it down and say, I don't know where these rumors came from, but that's what someone would say who didn't want you to know they're buying New Japan. So,
what would buying New Japan do for him he's got Ring of Honor. He's not doing shit with it, basically. He farmed the belts out to everybody that's on TV.
Yeah. He just does weekly TV and monthly pay-per-views.
Short of gutting it for his favorite talent, do you really need a Japanese development promotion?
I mean,
I don't think so.
This might not be similar because, me and sports, whatever. He has an American football team and he has a UK football team. Wouldn't that kind of be along the same lines as American wrestling? And
you in sports. well, here's the thing.
Just kind of like diversifying.
American football and European or British football make money. These are profitable businesses with long heritages. Sports entertainment is different than sport, right? I mean, it's unique from it. The business model itself is unique, and it's a little bit different. In this particular instance, especially given the way that the AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling relationship has run up to this point, it's been a sort of big brother, little brother partnership. Maybe long-lost big brother, little brother partnership. Where AEW shows up, surges, to... obviously way bigger than NJPW, surges up, and then, kind of pulls little brother along to some success, gets them exposure to the American market. When he acquired Ring of Honor, the whole idea was, this was going to be our development, right? We were going to develop our talent and work them up and give them shine. I mean, that was my understanding of it at the time. Otherwise, why buy them? Why buy them? It doesn't make any sense to me unless you're going to use them to develop the same way that WWE used OVW back in the day, right? Tomorrow's stars today. And that's the whole idea. Well, in New Japan, they're like today's stars over there that are coming over. So, I mean, unless it's ridiculously profitable and he's just trying to, which I can't imagine is true.
No, I think they are definitely much more profitable than you're giving them credit for. Maybe, certainly not in the U.S. as much as AEW or WWE, but certainly in Japan and in European countries. And
very stable. I think it's very stable. It probably is a decent amount of cash flow. But how does it serve the greater business? Okay, he has it. You're saying he buys it just to say he bought it.
Maybe he buys it and to bring it to the U.S.
But then
and make it bigger.
But then why is it even available to sell to him? If it is a solid business, if it is profitable, if it is a part of the cultural heritage of New Japan, why would you farm it out to this American kid?
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
That's why it's just a rumor.
Again, if they you know.
This is news and rumors, so we got to cover everything.
Well, speaking of rumors, so...
No, this one's not a rumor. This one's true.
Love springs eternal. Well, no, the second part's a rumor. Love springs eternal. Hulk Hogan remarried to a much younger woman.
I think this is his third marriage.
Yes. There was his first marriage, then a shorter one. You know, Brooke's mother originally.
Mm-hmm.
What's his son's name?
Nick.
And then, a second much shorter marriage, only 2 or 3 years, I think. The second one, and then now this one, yeah. I think she's 45 or something, I remember reading.
No, she's that old?
She's quite a bit younger than him, yeah.
Oh, you mean his wife? I thought you meant Brooke.
Current wife.
Oh, my God.
No, Brooke's like our age, I think.
Yeah,
maybe
even younger.
Yeah, a couple years younger, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he got married, but speaking of Brooke, she wasn't there. Only member of the family who wasn't there. I had to mention this because, you know, Kelly likes all the gossip, so had to do it for my lady.
What's Brooke doing these days? I don't even know.
You know, a few years ago...
I heard they're trying to restart her music career or something.
Oh, I don't know about that. A few years ago, I was listening to Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, and he had Lacey Von Erich on there. And she said her and Brooke Hogan and Teal Piper and a couple other second-generation wrestling girls were going to start up their own female promotion.
She's 35.
As far as I know, that never went anywhere, but I was looking forward to that when I heard that. That's probably 4 years ago now that episode came out. But yeah, so anyways, back on topic. Brooke Hogan was not at the wedding for her father. Apparently she's keeping her distance from the family drama.
Or maybe adding to it, now that this woman is almost a peer to Brooke, a mere 10 years her senior.
Yeah.
To her father, who's now 72? 70?
I think he's a year younger than my folks, so yeah, like 70.
Yeah, so that could definitely create some drama there. But yeah, she has been keeping her head down lately.
Yep.
Yeah, that was back in 2016 that the rumors of the women's only wrestling thing was, yeah, I know, it was like another lifetime ago.
Yeah.
So Holly Hood, Haley J, if you've been following the Wrestler show on Netflix, which we should tease right now, we are going to be talking about on this week's Falls Count Anywhere.
Yep.
Thoughts, we'll do it at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to do it now just to say I did it twice. Spoiler alert. Although it's reality TV, so it's life. If you watch that show, which I highly recommend you do, you're going to meet Holly Hood, Haley J. She's one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And one of the big pushes in OVW's promotion. Probably Al Snow's best friend and worst enemy throughout the entirety of the programming. It looks like she shot her shot and got a chance to try out at the WWE Performance Center, and that went about as well as you might expect.
Well, she wasn't even there. It got canceled due to reasons relating to medical paperwork.
And that is about as well as you would expect it to go. If you watch the show, then you would know that Haley is the kind of girl to not get her paperwork in, not have her shit together.
Mm-hmm. Well, come to find out, she had actually had some matches in AEW also. There were actually a few OVW wrestlers that on Dark and Dark Elevation. Yeah,
they went. Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, she got her chance. She went out to Women of Wrestling, and I mean, like they keep saying in the show over and over again, she's very young. She's still new to the business. She's very impatient. Blah blah. All the things that come with being green. She's only 22. I mean, if she wants to, she's got easily 10 more years. Before you can say that she's kind of out. And I have to imagine if she continues on the trajectory, she's going to be. But, I mean, to me, this just seems like I think we've at least hinted at it a couple of times in previous episodes. Man, WWE just does not put up with bullshit.
No.
They are a professional. They put the professional in professional wrestling. They do not dick around. If you do not have your paperwork, if you have not had your physical, if you cannot piss clean.
Unless your name's Vince McMahon, you can't get away with anything.
Well, and I think, this is all in the last 10 years. This has really come about. Obviously, there's some pretty crazy stories about how things used to be back in the day.
Right.
But I think Vince McMahon going on trial under federal charges for, steroids and stuff, I think it kind of woke him up, about 15 years ago. And now they don't F around at all. And it's part of the culture now. I mean, it would seem so. Yeah. Give me the bad news on Adam.
Adam Cole. So, again, another injury at Grand Slam last week. Adam Cole runs out to help out MJF in his main event match, jumps off the stage, and breaks his ankle. Supposedly...
Was it clear at the time? I didn't see the clip.
Yeah, he was limping. He was limping the rest of the night. Supposedly this is legit, and that he requires surgery. They were set to defend the Ring of Honor tag titles this weekend at Wrestledream. This week he came out to the ring to relinquish the titles, and MJF is white meat babyface now. Says, nope, I'm defending them in a handicap match. So it seems legit. However, there is some speculation. So Dynamite ended with a pretty cool angle this week. What's his name? Switchblade Jay White confronted MJF wanting his AEW world title. At the end of the show, though, we see a bunch of guys in masks beating up Jay White, and MJF's devil mask kind of leading the charge. The speculation comes in that a couple weeks ago in a backstage promo, the devil mask was behind Adam Cole in the locker room. So there's some speculation that this isn't a legit injury.
Oh, I see.
And Adam Cole was behind the mask attacking Jay White. I don't know. We'll see about that, but it seemed pretty legit to me.
Well, this leads into interesting speculation. This kind of transitions us well into Wrestledream. Let's start by talking about that match, that handicap match, quote unquote. They have put so much weight and pressure pushing MJF in the last year.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe he could do the handicap match and he could win.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
And he could single-handedly defend both title belts, and it could look believable.
Yeah.
It could look doable.
Yeah.
Maybe he cheats and knocks one of them out with the belt.
Yep.
And it ends up being a one-on-one or something. But it ends up being believable. I mean, you don't need to have a fake injury.
So he's facing the Righteous, Dutch and Vincent, which, if you don't watch Ring of Honor, you don't know who these guys are.
Very good, though.
Even if you do watch Ring of Honor, they're kind of, I mean, I don't know. They've been around for a while, but they're kind of weird. Anyways, the whole story they've been telling up till this point is the Kingdom was going to face MJF and Adam Cole.
That's since All In. They've been.
Right. So when the Righteous won this number one contender match last week, and now they're facing for the titles, I mean, it just seems like they're really drawing that story out. I highly doubt MJF is going to lose the tag belts. I'd be very surprised. I think they're still going to lead to facing the Kingdom at some point.
Or maybe it's some kind of a MJF takes the babyface fall, and they get disqualified. And he retains by disqualification or something like that.
Maybe.
He ends up getting the crap kicked out of him for Adam Cole. gets a good shine, and then it ends up getting overturned and they keep the belts.
Maybe.
That's assuming Adam Cole is, of course, fully
We
injured.
doing official picks here?
Sure. Yeah, if you want to.
I'm going with MJF.
I guess I'll be recording it as I'm the only one responsible enough to bring a pen and paper.
Yeah, I go digital now, man. Come on.
Oh, are you?
No, I'm not.
That's what I thought. Righteous. So you're going MJF.
Yep.
Matt and Jer, right and wrong.
I mean, how long does it take to heal from a broken ankle if this is a legit injury? Probably 3 months.
That depends a lot on the nature of the break.
He said it broke in 3 places and he requires surgery.
I mean, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's very extensive.
It'll depend.
Months. Yeah, that's months.
If they'll keep the belts all that time.
If he's putting
for him to
pins
come
in,
back.
if that's legitimate, then yeah, he's out for months. All right, let's talk about the big match.
Yeah.
Danielson versus Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
This is going to be a hell of a match.
Hell of a match. I don't know who to pick for this one. Both of these guys are technical wizards. This has been a match that's been teased for over a year. It was supposed to happen at Forbidden Door last year, but Danielson got injured. That's when Claudio came in and took his place.
Sabre's title is on the line.
No.
Oh, it's not.
Non-title match.
I'm going Danielson. Really? All the promotions have him holding his belt. I just assumed, it was on the line. That was kind of stupid of me.
It's a New Japan belt.
Yeah, I'm going with Danielson.
I'm going to say ZSJ. I think he's going to win it. I don't know. I could see it going either way, though.
I think it's going to be a long match.
Yeah.
Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. This will be another good match.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about this match. Their contract signing finished out Dynamite this week, and I'm just not into it.
I'm not into contract signings, period.
In
very rare instances.
This whole feud, I'm not crazy about. I'm going to say Page.
You're going to say Page. When's the last time Page won a singles match? Like one of any real significance. I'm not talking about...
Didn't he win it?
Because he's been pairing up with guys a lot.
Didn't he have... Oh, no, he was in a tag match at All In.
Yeah, he's been in tag matches and trios matches. And
I mean, he beat Brian Cage on Dynamite or whatever it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I can't think of the last big one.
Or if they're going to try and give Swerve a big push. He has been performing very well. I'll go with Swerve. Make it interesting.
Okay.
Swerve. All right, how about the AEW Tag Team Championship? FTR versus Aussie Open.
FTR.
Yeah, I can't even fake it on this one.
I didn't like Aussie Open when I first started seeing them, but they've been growing on me. But I am starting to really like them.
Was it the match at All In?
I think so.
It was a damn good match.
Yeah, they've had some good ones
Considering
recently.
It was the curtain jerk and it was the first.
Right.
I mean, it was only 10 minutes long, but
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
it was
short, but
a full 10 minutes. I mean, I don't even know how to fake this. This is so FTR. I can't even. All right, we already talked about MJF versus the Righteous. All right, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi versus Ospreay, Takeshita, and Sammy Guevara. So a lot of feuding on this one. There's a lot of heat. There's going to be a lot. See, this is Kenny Omega's favorite thing to do. Tag. Oh, then the other guy tags in, and then everybody boos, and then accidentally 2 people get in the ring that hate each other. Oh, and then the bad guy tags out, and we burn 30 minutes doing nothing. It's a dance recital for 30 minutes.
I mean,
there's a lot of heat in this match, though.
There is.
I'm looking forward to the Jericho Guevara.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which way to go on this. Like, this feud has been going on for so long.
I just don't care about the outcome of the match.
Right.
I want to see the match, but I have no interest in who wins whatsoever. Seems to be every Kenny Omega match I watch is like that.
Because basically the feud is between Jericho and Omega and Don Callis. But Callis is using the other guys as his proxy.
He's like a pawn, yeah.
So he's never going to get his comeuppance unless he gets in the ring and takes a bump, So it's like...
Callis will take a bump.
Yeah.
With the right amount of heat.
With
the right amount of heat. He doesn't want to waste it.
Takeshita, he's a heel now. But the heat is all on Callis, not on him. Sammy Guevara just turned heel last week, which everyone prefers he's a heel because everyone hates him. But I see him being the one to take the pin.
How does your girl like Sammy?
She loves him.
As a heel.
Oh, as a heel? No, she'll always cheer for him no matter what.
She wants him to be a good guy.
Yeah. The only one I see on that side winning would be Ospreay. So I'm kind of leaning towards the babyface team. But like you said, it doesn't really matter who wins.
Then I will pick the Ospreay team.
Okay. It's just, like I said, the feud's been going on so long, I just want to see it over. They all need to move on to new stuff.
So you're going with Ospreay?
No, I'm going with the babyfaces.
You're going with the faces.
Yep.
Team Jericho.
Jericho, Omega, Ibushi. And yeah, Kota Ibushi, this will be his third match in AEW, and his first two haven't been...
No, he has not gone over well at all.
No. He needs to have a singles match to really show off.
Christian Cage versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Are they going to give Darby the belt?
So, it's 2 out of 3 falls, which is a nice caveat. They are in Seattle, which is Darby's hometown.
Darby's land.
Last time he won the TNT title was in Seattle. So normally I would say the hometown guy is going to win, but because he already won in Seattle before and because Christian is doing so well, I don't think he's going to win. I think Christian's going to keep the belt.
Dude, it would be the first time that a guy gets snubbed in his hometown at AEW in how long?
In recent memory.
Can you think of the last time?
I can't.
They're in Pittsburgh. They give it to Britt. Mm-hmm. They're in England. They give it to Saraya.
Wardlow is from Pittsburgh. He won the TNT title.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Wardlow.
He won it for a week and then gave it up to Joe.
I mean, obviously CM Punk doesn't take a fall in Chicago. I mean, they do favors for everybody. You think Allen is going to be the company man?
I would be very
I don't think MJF
surprised.
Ever lost in New York when they were at the...
I don't think so.
I mean... So you're going with Cage retains?
Yep. I might be
the argument in the opposite direction is Cage is the old guy. He shouldn't have the belt. He shouldn't have the belt.
That's why he has the heat, though.
That's literally the angle that they've been working, right? He pretended to have the belt when Luchasaurus had the belt, and now, due to some twist of fate, he has the belt.
Luchasaurus,
right? Yeah. Due to some crazy, 1980s, early 90s style wrestling trick, right? He has the belt. He doesn't deserve the belt. Who better to take it off? I'll go the opposite way.
If he does win, this will be his 3rd or 4th reign with the belt. If Darby wins.
That's not bad. They got to give him something, man. He needs the extra money for his medical bills. Ring of Honor World Championship and NJPW Strong Openweight Championship. Mr. Eddie Kingston versus Shibata.
Yep. Eddie Kingston's putting up both of his belts against Shibata, and Shibata's not putting up his pure championship.
Kingston's going to go over. They're not going to have. He's putting both his belts up.
Yeah, I don't see Shibata carrying 3 belts.
3 belts that he can't possibly care about.
Right.
I mean, this isn't like, Roman Reigns here.
No, yeah. Kingston's winning.
Kingston I haven't been too impressed with lately either.
Well, he wasn't around for a while either. It's like
he gets buried in these...
It's like he came back from the G1 and then all of a sudden his
G1 work
champion.
Was great.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like saving his good work for overseas if he doesn't like working,
or maybe he's working
North
through
America.
injury.
I hope not, but he gets me all excited, and then I watch him all in, and I'm like, what the F is this? He's he's not doing costume changes or anything like that, but I'm like, what the F is going on? They're burying him, and he's getting no time. TBS Championship, Chris Statlander, Julia Hart. Statlander?
I don't know. Julia Hart has been really popular lately. I mean, she really gets the crowd going, and she's working this
Statlander's the face, right?
Statlander's the face. Hart's been working this dominant heel thing, taking people out with her finisher and with the mist and everything. I'm gonna go with Statlander, but I would not be surprised if Julia won.
Yeah, I'm going with Stat too. She's
she's
a dominating presence. I think they're gonna keep pushing her.
I think Julia Hart is probably the top woman right now.
When did they give her the belt? A couple months ago, right? When she came back, they gave it to her right out of the gate, right? Wasn't
Right,
it?
she beat Cargill.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what show was that?
Oh,
I don't remember.
it was before All In. The one before All In, was it Full Gear? No, Revolution.
I think it was Revolution.
I think it was Revolution.
That was I think we live streamed that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They came back and we were like, what? Yeah, I think they're gonna let the reign continue. AEW Tag Team Championship #1 contender match. Who could care less about this one? Young Bucks versus the Guns versus the Lucha Bros versus Orange Cassidy and Hook. I'm just gonna call this one the #1 contender match.
Mm-hmm. The Bucks just faced FTR. I don't think it'll be them again.
No, this is their company, so they'll take the fall. I don't think it's the Lucha Bros. It's going to be either the Guns or Cassidy and Hook. Cassidy needs something now that he dropped the championship, and Hook's on the upswing. You know, Hook and Cassidy do go well together.
Yeah, they do. It's only been a couple weeks. It's been pretty good, though.
They do go well together, though. It's a good matchup.
You know,
they complement each other well.
I wouldn't dismiss the Lucha Bros. I don't think they've had a match with FTR recently.
Are they going to do it in white, or are they going to do it in red?
Maybe both.
Who wore it better?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cassidy and Hook. What the heck? It's something new.
I shouldn't have given you that idea.
Come on, the belt's not on the line. You don't have to worry about losing. It's just for bragging rights.
It's just a storyline, but the other guys feel like filler. Yeah, the other guys just feel like filler to me. All right. Last but certainly not least, or maybe least, Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta. This feels like an afterthought.
Yeah,
This feels like a pre-show.
This was just made the other night. I'm going with Starks. He's lost twice to Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson now, so he needs a win back.
Yeah. Yuta always seems to just take punishment. He's kind of the redheaded stepchild.
That's the story now, is he even takes punishment from the other BCC members.
You think he's just trying to be a good company man? I mean, he was part of the Jericho Appreciation Society, right?
Yuta, no, he was with Best Friends before he was with BCC.
Best Friends. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Best Friends. He's always kind of been on the outskirts, the sidekick.
Yep.
He's never really. I don't know. He hasn't really had his day in the sun. He's becoming a company man.
He had the Ring of Honor title for a while, the Pure Championship.
He's the Miz.
Yeah.
They're turning him into the Miz. He's a company man.
I mean, he's a good worker.
Yeah, I think on the pre-show, I think it could be a decent match. It could carry the pre-show.
Yeah.
I'll take that match over a 35 battle royale.
Yeah, they'll probably add 3 more matches for the pre-show day of or something.
Yeah.
And a battle royal will be one of them.
Well, let us know. WrestleDream's coming up this weekend. Let us know, are you going to be watching it? Where are you going to be watching it? Which match are you most looking forward to? And, of course, like me, are you looking forward to it being on HBO Max so we don't need to mortgage the house to watch it?
Yeah.
Lot going on. Once more reminder, FCA coming up this week, coming out on Monday. We're going to be talking about Wrestlers, the highly acclaimed, very entertaining show that goes behind the scenes of OVW. We're going to give our first takes on it, having watched it. Really looking forward to that. Please make sure you tune in. Check us out on X, Facebook. There's some opportunities for some interviews with some independent talent that we've been networking with lately. We're very much looking forward to that. It could get a little cheesy. I don't want to tease too hard here, but things could get a little cheesy. So please be sure to tune in. Matt, you got anything to add?
I got nothing.
You keep watching. We'll keep wrestling with the business. See you next time.